this is Slink for Stratos Eve Online. I'm going to do some small videos here for our members to help them get started with various different tools and learning some various aspects of Eve early on. What I'm going to cover today, I'm going to be pretty casual and just conversational. I normally do these in 1 or 2 takes and just kind of record what I do as I do it. Basically, what I'm going to cover today is Evemon. This is a critical tool in my opinion. Basically, your 2 primary tools for out of the game is Evemon to manage your skill and skill training, as well as it's a great reference for ships and items and what you use and what skills you need to be able to use them. And then EFT, which is Eve Fitting Tool, which I'll cover in a different video. Anyway, basically, you can get Evemon free online. We have a link in our forums. When you download it, you'll come to a page. You won't have anything loaded in like I do here. But basically, to get started, you want to click File, Add Account, and then it'll actually give you the link to go to the site, the Eve Online site, and get your API key. Now, what an API key is it's basically a safe way to get information to allow Evemon to communicate with the server to get basic information about your character. Using a limited API key is safe. You're not giving away your account information or access or anything like that. It's just a way to get a little bit of information. Similar to, if you're familiar with WoW, it would be like the WoW Armory. So basically, when you go to the site and log in, it will give you a user ID and an API key. And you basically cut and paste those 2 in here. Type in the user key if you don't feel like repasting, and click next and go through the process. Pretty simple screens. I'm not going to redo that because I've already done it. Once you've done that, it will then grab and periodically update from the server your character data. It'll keep track of what skills you have in queue, and so on. At that point, you are then able to create plans, where you can create a new plan. Let's just call this Test Plan 1. And you're able to basically go in, and there's a series of tabs. This is the skills that you have in your plan queue, and once this is populated, you can use it as reference down the road. You have a skill browser where you can look up every skill in the game, what you have, get descriptions, what the hierarchy is to acquire each skill, and so on. Certificates, if you tend to look up the recommended certificates for different ships and so on, you can do the same thing through the certificate interface. One of the more useful tools is you can browse for ships and items, and when you have a particular ship up, you can then see what skills you need to be able to use them. So let's say we were looking up, I want to be able to fly a advanced battleship, a Black Ops Mimitar. We'll grab Panther. Down here it shows that there's a series of skills that I need, some I have, some I don't, to be able to fly that battleship. It'll take 86 days with my current configuration to obtain the skills necessary to fly it. And if I click Add to Plan, it will then take all of the skills associated with being able to fly that ship and populate it into the plan queue. So I can now see all of the skills necessary to train, and I can use this later on as reference so I know which skills to drop in my queue. That works both with ships and with items. So if I said someday I'd like to be able to use a, let's see, gang assist, let's see, haven't really planned this part out, but I'd like to be able to use a Tech 2 torpedo. Where are they? Missile launchers. I should have maybe planned a little bit of this out. Siege launchers, and I want to use a Tech 2 siege launcher. These are the skills necessary to be able to use a Siege 2 siege launcher, and if I want to add that to the queue, then it'll add all the associated skills in the hierarchy necessary to be able to use that particular item. And it'll just keep adding those to the queue, and then within, once you have it in the queue, then you can do some reorganizing, resorting. However, if there's a prerequisite, for example here, Science 5 I believe is necessary for jump drive calibration, you won't be able to sequence the prerequisite later than the underlying skill or the next skill in the sequence. So those are the basics. I guess I'll show you a couple of other features. Probably won't get too much into detail, but there's 2 other key features you can use here, which is once you have a plan up, for example, if this isn't a legitimate plan here, but let's say this was a legitimate plan and I had the next 103 days of my primary training queue planned out, I could then say what implants would, let's say I were then to add implants to the mix. Like right now, the clone that I'm in has +4s and one +3. And if I wanted to ask, well, what if I put +5 implants in every slot? It'll tell me right here that it would actually accelerate my training queue by 3 days, 20 hours, and you can actually see skill by skill the timing that you would save. So that's a useful tool for the implants, and then the other piece is you can use it to plan out long-term neural remapping of your player attributes. So in this case, for example, in this particular set of skill training, if I were to tell it to optimize, it would tell me to maximize perception, use intelligence as secondary, and that set of that neural remapping would save another couple of days, 2.5 days on the training queue. So anyway, a couple of great tools. This I would consider invaluable for having a good comprehensive training plan. One thing to watch out for though is when you use, when you just go to the ship page and you say I want to fly this ship and you add that to your plan, that is only the skills necessary to be able to fly the ship itself. Very often, if you're going to properly outfit the ship, you're better off either working from the item browser for the individual items that you're going to want to if you already know what the build is, or you can use the certificates where when you actually go to the ship will tell you which skills it recommends as part of its certificates, or which certificates are recommended for that ship. Anyway, you'll hear almost everyone tell you to get Evemon and use Evemon, and I figured for some of our brand new members it might be helpful to put a little video together to show you what we're talking about and how to do it. Feel free to ask myself or any other member in game if you have any questions or need help setting it up. Thank you for watching.